Hi everyone, and welcome to a tutorial of the HAPS Broadcast Studio. In order to access the HAPS Broadcast Studio, you must complete your profile sign-up process. Once you have completed that profile sign-up process, you simply go to the Go Live tab, located in the top left-hand corner, next to Newsfeed and Discover, and then you'll see three options. One is to create a new broadcast, the second to schedule an upcoming broadcast, and the third to launch the studio of a broadcast that you've been invited to. So for this tutorial, I'm going to start off by showing you how to create a broadcast. Go ahead and hit the Create New Broadcast button. From here, you want to give it a title. So for this, we'll give it a title of what we'll be doing, a tutorial. As you can see there to the right of the title, you can add your hashtag. I recommend going to Twitter and seeing if there's any trending hashtags that are prevalent to your story, or using the suggested tags that are down below that correspond with your story or whatever it is that you're broadcasting. Then hit the Create Broadcast button. It'll take a second to load the next screen, but once it does, you'll be prompted to turn on your location. You can skip this step and not allow your location to be permitted to the broadcast studio, or you can simply allow it and then move on to the next step. The next step will entail whether or not you want to multicast your broadcast. As you can see here, you can turn these items on and off pretty easily with that indicator. And if you haven't connected your social media accounts, you can still connect them here, as you can see there with the Connect Your YouTube. Another item is that you can add a custom RTMP file or destination. Go ahead and hit Next Step and you'll be prompted to turn on your camera and microphone. Once you do that, please note that on the top left-hand side of your Chrome browser, Chrome will also ask you if you would actually allow it for haps.tv. Go ahead and hit allow there, otherwise the HAPS Broadcast Studio won't let you in. It is important to note that the HAPS Broadcast Studio is currently only available in Google Chrome, as it is still in beta phases. Once you've gone ahead and allowed your camera and microphone, you'll see that a prompt allows you to select which camera and which microphone you'd like to use. This is mostly going to be affecting those that want to use an external camera or an external microphone. For the most part though, it'll default to the camera and microphone that you regularly used. Now go ahead and hit Join Broadcast. Welcome to the Broadcast Studio. As you can see here, there's a lot going on, but we're going to take our time and explain the whole process for you and some of the basic functionalities of what the Broadcast Studio gives. As you can see here, this is the program window. This is essentially what your audience sees. Below the program window, you have the 4 different layouts that you can choose from: picture-in-picture, stack, grid, and wide. We'll go over how all of those look in just a second. And as you can see here, you can always invite people as well. First, search the name of a user that is already currently registered in HAPS, like Peter Bittner. Then, you'll be prompted to select if whether or not you'd like them to be a director or just a participant. Checking director will allow them to also control everything in the broadcast studio, whereas being just a participant does not. Next up, let's take a look at the settings for each individual that's invited into the broadcast studio. I'll go ahead and use myself as an example. Here, you can increase or lower the volume of the said person so that they're not blowing out all the other users. Below that, you can pick the layout sizing mode that you'd like to use for that user. For example, if I hit Fit in Container and I'm using my laptop webcam, which is designated to be in horizontal, you'll see that it creates black bars on the top and bottom so that it can fit the true dimensions of my laptop webcam into the program window. If I hit Fill in Container, you'll see that it'll go back to the vertical framing, and it is essentially squeezing and cropping my image to make sure that it fits with the corresponding layout that I'm using. Below that, you have the public-facing info, the name, your title, and your location. All of those easily editable in the back end. Next up, you have the ability to also upload images and video that can help you tell your story. Once you tap Upload Image or Video, it'll bring up a Finder window that allows you to search through the files that you have on your computer to upload something that makes sense for that story. This drone footage seems appropriate. So I've gone ahead and uploaded that video clip, and you can see here that it creates this pop-up window that's letting me know the percentage of which it is uploading. So let's go ahead and skip ahead. Once the video is done uploading, you'll get a preview of what that looks like. And just like with the settings of individual persons invited, you also have the ability to increase or lower the volume. You have the ability to fit it in container or fill it in the container, which is very similar to what we saw earlier. And you have two new options for video. One is to continuously loop the video while it's in program, meaning that when it comes to an end of this 37-second clip, it'll play again from the beginning. Or it'll simply freeze in the final frame of that video clip. Secondly, there's a show pre-recorded banner. This pretty much just lets your audience know that this is pre-recorded. It is not live while you are live. And Peter has gone ahead and joined my broadcast here. So you can see what picture-in-picture looks like with one other person, and what stack looks like with one other person. As you can see here, I was in stack, but I activated a fourth item to my program. So this broadcast studio automatically moved me to grid. It'll always do that if you run out of space in the layout. I'm going to go ahead and change this HAPS image to fit so that we can see the whole photo. Next up, we have wide. Wide gives us a great opportunity to show you what this number 1 icon does in each of these rectangles. As you can see here, when I click on it for this B-roll video, it moves it to the top of the layout. Each of these layouts has a number 1, designating where that number 1 icon places which one of those is selected. So as you can see here, that B-roll clip moves there, and now Peter moves to the top. In order to manipulate what is in the 2, 3, and 4 spot, you need to use the number 1 icon in order of which that you want someone to appear in number 4. Next up, the full screen icon. This is the hero button. When you want that B-roll clip or that person to take over the whole screen and demand all of the attention of the audience. Once you have that full screen button selected, you can either deactivate it or activate someone else or something else in full screen as well. While in full screen, this gives you the ability to hide layout changes in the background. As you can see here, I'm switching to stack and I'm deactivating that HAPS logo. And now I'm going to go ahead and deactivate the full screen, and voila. I went from wide to stack and no one knew. Now, let's take a look over here at the comment section. You have the ability to send a private comment which goes out to anyone that is participating in the broadcast with you and moderators that are watching you from the other end. This gives you the opportunity to communicate privately and solve any issues that you may encounter. However, if you hit the lock button, you can also send out a public-facing comment, which anyone on the HAPS platform watching will be able to see and respond to. This gives you an ability to interact with the audience in a moment of pause or when someone else is speaking. Next up, we have notifiers. The notifiers are simply an upper third text and what you can use to promote your next broadcast, to provide additional information or facts about the story that you're currently working on, or to just simply say a few words about who you are. But for this example, I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about HAPS and the breaking news that has happened recently. So first, you want to input a title. So for this title, I'm going to go ahead and hit breaking news. And then hit the save button. Once you have your title set, you'll go down to the bottom and hit create new notifier. Once you have decided on what your notifier will say, go ahead and hit the blue save button on the right. And don't worry if you have a typo, as I do there. You can simply hit edit and change that to fix any mistakes that you made, and then hit save once again. I'm going to go ahead and add another notifier so you can see what this tool allows you to do in regards to sending more than one item onto the program window. You can see that there's the arrow buttons to the left of the notifiers that allows me to change the order in which they appear for me. I'm going to go ahead and leave this in this order because that's the order in which these things happened. Now, once I'm ready to push them to program, I simply select them and hit the blue push to program button. And you can see that in the program window, they'll appear at the very top as an upper third. Now, Takeovers is a very similar tool, but instead of an upper third, this is a full screen text. So just like the notifier, you have to first implement a title. Here I'm just going to go ahead and give it something generic, Haps Beta, the journey. Next up, you can actually change this Haps branded image. In our scenario, we're just changing it from one blue Haps logo to a pink one, but you can see there that you can upload your own logo. This tool works exactly the same way as the notifier from that point forward. First, create new takeover, then write all of the text that you need to write, and then hit save. Once you're ready with your takeover, you simply select it and hit the push to program button. Now the final tab to pay attention to is the settings. This is where you can make any changes to your broadcast that you need to make, and also some emergency buttons that'll help you during your broadcast to troubleshoot some problems. First off, at the top of this, you can see that you can edit the title of your broadcast. You can edit the hashtags that you have added with your broadcast. And you can also edit the destinations that you're planning to send this to. So I'm going to go ahead and activate my Twitter now. Next up, you can choose between portrait and landscape. You want to make sure you do this before you hit the Go Live button in the top right corner, because you won't be able to once you're live. As you can see here, once I've hit that landscape button, the server is restarting, so you want to give it some time, as we did in the beginning, to get the servers up and running. Below that, you can see that there's this graphics options. During the broadcast, when you receive an award, we play an automated notifier that lets people know that you were given an award by another user. So you can decide if you want that to appear on the top of the screen, and you can also decide if you want to show your goals for that broadcast. All of these settings can be accessed from your Haps profile settings so that you don't have to change this every single time you go live. And as you can see below that, we have the animate layout transitions. What this does is it simply allows you to have smoother transitions when you remove or add someone onto the program window. Now, the emergency buttons. First off, reset program layout. What this does is it allows you to remove everything from the program window, and it is most often used when someone accidentally deletes something from their uploaded content that was already activated in the program window. As you can see here, this drone footage is stuck in the program window, and it's no longer appearing in my uploaded section, which means that I cannot deselect it. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is hit the reset program layout button and remove everything from the program. Now, I just simply add everything that I needed back on, and we're good to go again. Lastly, we have the restart graphics server button, and it'll often only be used when the graphics server isn't starting up in the program window. If you're experiencing any of those issues, please go ahead and hit restart graphics server. And if the issue is not resolved before you go live, go ahead and email me at pdelahoya@haps.tv. We'll be in the broadcast studio helping you as fast as possible. That concludes the end of our broadcast studio tutorial. All you need to do now is hit that go live button in the top right corner and hope you have a great broadcast.